And we are back on Open Line. Chuck Long here with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm right here in Tennessee. Make sure if you do have one of those legal questions that you've been wondering about, we only have a few more minutes on the show this evening to get to those questions. We'll get to as many as we can. The number right there on your screen, 737-7587. Kevin, and another thing I think a lot of people have come to know about your law firm in particular, somebody says, well, I need to go to a law firm that specializes in this or in this area. You guys literally have such a broad knowledge. You've got the people that are the experts in all of these areas.
Yeah. So one of my biggest jobs now in this part is when people come to have a problem, I said, okay, let me see if I can get this lawyer to come in. And I try to get this lawyer. Y'all come to my office. Y'all come in here. We're going to meet in the conference room because I love to have different minds. The team will always outbeat an individual. And so somebody that does bankruptcies all the time, there could be a specific question. And so they're walking around encyclopedias. So that will work. Yes, we have this as an option. And so that's really one of the benefits about being a lawyer. You're trained all day by experts.
And that's why you guys are the experts in so many different areas. Now, I want to ask something else too, because I think a lot of people learn when they hear this. If you are in a situation and someone says, well, you know, I've got all this information, and they're like, well, how long have you had the information? They're like, well, I've had it for about 2 years, but I'm just now calling.
Yeah.
Now, you don't want to do that.
No. One of the keys is get to us early. If you talk to a doctor, if they're bleeding out, well, you say, well, I can be there in 10 minutes, they're gone. The legal profession is the same way. So if you get to us early, how early? Earlier the better. Just a little conversation, and then we've got it worked out. You know, I have so many of my clients, I got you on speed dial, Kev. And then they're all the time talking about, say, hey, Kev's got you covered, speed dial. I said, okay, fellas, then just chill. What I always say, the police are all over these people, and they're saying, Kevin, I want you to talk to the police. And so then we're dancing, but it's better than not having somebody to chit-chat what's going on.
Now, what about, too, when you are calling someone, and I know a lot of times when we're just calling for different things that we might need, and someone's, you know, they're saying, well, we want you to know that this has been recorded for training purposes. Yeah. What if you are in contact with someone that you do have a problem with, and that little prompt comes up? What should you do? When
in doubt, don't. And I really want to be extra sensitive. You know, all these insurance companies, they say, well, we're going to record you. Well, will you send me a copy of that recording? You have a right to ask that question. What am I being pulled over for? Will you send me a copy of this? Now the question is, do you trust them? They may say yes, and they never. So that's a good time. It's not convenient. Can you schedule us so you can be prepared to have your recording just like they're having their record? Because if there's a difference of opinion, they say, well, you said this and we've got it on a recording. And I said, well, let's listen because I have it on recording.
Okay, good to know. All right, let's go back to the lines right now. Brad is on the line with us. Brad, good evening. Do you have a question for Kevin?
Yes, sir. What do you do if you're getting threatened to be assaulted at work?
Well, first off, everyone has a right to go to work in a non-hostile environment. What I would do is note it, document it. If you had another witness with you, remember, it always gets down to basic evidence. Do we have the evidence to prove that this is going on? No one likes a bully. The laws are written to protect people, and so then I would report it. If you had to have somebody go with you, or you say, here's my documentation, this person is bullying me, then you can do it. Remember this, even if we're at work, you have a right to go get a criminal warrant on your own. If Chuck was threatening me, he pushed me in the hall, he just committed a crime that we have a right to go to the police and have a charge brought out against him. So you have a lot of options available. You may say, I don't want to get fired at work. Come see a lawyer privately. That lawyer can fire a letter off, and if they're crazy enough to not listen to the letter, then we got a problem. We also have access to orders of protection. That's what all these things are meant for.
Oh, well, that's really good to know. So, Brad, thanks so much for calling in that. I think you just helped a lot of people with that question, which kind of harkens back to one of our callers earlier this evening was talking about the trees, the dead trees, and that they could be a danger and a hazard with the neighbors. How do you, in any conflict with a neighbor, what is the best approach? Even if it's just something like their music's too loud, people can't sleep, what is the best approach?
Well, you know, you always want to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you thought they were approachable, that might be the way to try to cut down any friction. I would dance delicately because, you know, there's always saying good fences make good neighbors. lawyers, y'all leave us alone. Of course, as a lawyer, we've seen it all. And so people put big lights on you and you say, well, I don't want those lights. And well, these lights are on my property. They put cameras watching you. You're invading my privacy. You've got it on my pool. My children are playing. Then I would immediately seek a lawyer and let the lawyer handle it, because they can write letters and stop. And if they can't, then you have access to the courts to stop it.
Well, and another thing, wanted to ask you about this. People sometimes, when they're thinking about getting a lawyer, they're like, well, I'd rather not do it because it's going to be expensive to hire the lawyer.
Let's dance.
Okay.
What we do is come into a private consultation. Most lawyers have a free initial consultation, and you can discuss it. I didn't say we're going to fire the letter. I said, let's talk about what our options are, the pros and cons. You think about it. If this is what you want to do, we might make a recommendation to you. And then we've got plan A, Plan B, Plan C, and Kevin Kennedy always has the backup plan, Plan D. So whatever comes, I've already got something in place in my mind that if they do this, we'll do this.
And we've had callers time and time again say that they wish they would have had the show before something happened, because if they didn't get a lawyer, it actually ended up costing them more than not having the lawyer in the first place.
Yeah, we've had many that had prosecution of second-degree murder over a line dispute. Wow, don't go there.
That is something that, again, you just always got to keep in mind. Also, we want to kind of talk about what the lawyers know when they're approaching something. Someone says, well, I've got some of the documents, but I don't have all of the documents. I've written down some of these things. Do you really need the actual documents themselves, or just kind of a timeline that you've written out?
Well, obviously, the better your document is, the better source evidence. Is it original? Is it a Xerox copy? Has it been written? Has it been scratched out? But so much of the time, if we've just got something, and even Chuck and I, if we have a bump out here, say, Chuck, what you say you have insurance, and you admit this is your fault, then Chuck just write it out. Yes, I ran into your car. I have this insurance. Put the policy and sign it and date it. Well, Chuck said that wasn't me. And then golly, we'll just get a little handwriting expert and say, guess what, Chuck? Here's your Christmas card. Here's your. Do you really want to go there? Yeah, they do that all the time. And so every time you sign a Christmas card, somebody can pick that up and say, we'll use that.
There you go. And I think another thing that people often shy away from is, for example, if they're dealing with a large insurance company, they're thinking the insurance company have all the lawyers, they've got all of this information that they can just go on and on and on. So I'm not even going to try to approach this. But if you've been wronged, whether it's an insurance company, a hospital, a nursing home, you should get that document and go see the lawyer.
I am still shocked. Do I still get shocked almost every week? Kev, there's nothing's been out there you haven't seen. So I am still shocked every week on things that insurance companies will advance. They've never done this in the past, but now they do it. Why? What happens? Even the insurance companies that we deal with, what happens? Management changes, ideas change, administration changes, new policy changes. Well, I am shocked. So the best way to stop that is to get the best legal advice you can, know what the laws are, and advance from an educated, sophisticated position, and many times we resolve it, where they will take advantage of you. You heard me say it, they will take advantage.
And Kevin, we've got about 2 minutes left, and I always kind of like to get your feel of what's on your mind and that sort of thing. In today's society, when we've got a lot of things that are making us tense, there just really are. There's a lot of things that people are dealing with. Every day you turn on the news, and it just feels like I wish, I wasn't even watching the news, because there's so many hard things going on. I know you can't just turn a blind side to it, but do you see it causing sometimes a little bit more more problems, I should say,
absolutely,
with the way that people deal with things when there's so much tension?
Well, we're seeing, every time I'm in the DA's office, I'm back there negotiating, and somebody got pulled over and they have their gun legally in there, and the climate is so intense. They don't want, even many times when you have a ownership of the gun and you're transporting the gun, wow, why is the climate so high? Road rage is an all-time high. People are getting into it in the parking lots. They're being approached. And I'm telling you, it doesn't do you any good to get into a fight, a disagreement, argument with these people, because the climate is extremely hot. And when it's all said and done, a mistake or a misunderstanding can blow up and could ruin your life. So some people say, I'm not not running. We have a right to stand our ground. Cooler heads prevail. A bad situation. Sometimes, Chuck, they even have people on the streets that have serious mental problems. They're off their medication for whatever reason. You don't know. But don't put yourself, your family, your property at risk. Be aware. You're hearing Chuck and I tonight saying it. It's at an all-time high.
Well, in the final 30 seconds, Kevin, kind of words of wisdom. What do you want people to take with them tonight from our show? Because we've heard from a lot of folks with some really good questions.
Yeah, I always love your family is a gift of God. If you're not teaching and you're not taking a proactive approach to talk to them about police, talk to them about search and seizure, talk about having their insurance. We don't sell insurance, but you should have it. Even if we have to fight them, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So we're all the time protecting ourselves, and I'm so grateful, Chuck. You've done a great job on keeping the discussion, and you've kept the callers coming in, because I really feel strong tonight. We've helped some people, and that was what our purpose was, to go forward. And that old biblical principle that we all stand on, doing to others, and you'll reap what you sow. This lawyer here, you know, one Bible verse that all the lawyers always hear, they understand it, the young and the old. He who lives by the sword dies by the sword.
There you go, wise words. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with how you can get in touch with the Kennedy Law Firm right after this.